that with commercialization in the media system, the concept of social responsibility has gone so long that everything must be paid for. Do you expect me to go and pay for somebody to publicize my bad deeds? And because of that, the media finds it difficult to do what? Really engage with some of these things. And I'm sure even ICPC itself, they once before this whole program, you have to pay for that. And you are not in a business profit making activity. So you are again in public service. And as a result, it's taking money you cover to different purpose. But yet, you want to publicize your own activity, you have to pay. So it's discouraging. Political interference with accountability processes. Of course, that one I don't even need to before. I know because I also experienced it. Even in promotions, somebody who has never worked in a university, he has never known what it takes for me to be a professor. He will not come and know this for his place to become a professor, or for his place to be promoted from one lecturer to another, without knowing what it takes. Don't talk of areas like economics, where everybody you are dealing with issues of money, issues of this, issues of that. So I can imagine what the pressure is going to be. You can resist some, but you will reach a point where you have to negotiate. Then, of course, slow judicial processes. Another very frustrating thing. You work all to up to a point, you're sending that injunction comes. Sometimes the injunction is permanent. So when you in the university, I remember we had a case of someone who guys in what he did to that university, he never accepted. But the way people we are celebrating, we are going to succeed. But as they say in Mosa, areas are like an suddenly when the thing came, it came out different. So we ended up negotiating because I didn't have the kind of money you were asking me. And I knew, everybody knew, that what he did was against the of that university. But the court says, and we followed. So we told this organization we negotiated. So when people is asking us to give you, I don't afford it. We give you something and you accept it and you make it. So you can see some of these things can be very frustrating. You can imagine as an investigating officer, you have done all your best, you are negotiating, you are doing your best, then suddenly you go and person is free and you cease to receive. And then you enter the same box. It can be dangerous. So let's now, despite all these challenges, we cannot be subdued. Something must happen, and some people must be willing to work for this. Whether it is physically, is challenging, people must work and get results for Nigeria to survive. The answer is partnership, collaboration, and coordination. If there is one beneficial collaboration in this group, it's me. I know how I'm collaborating with organizations abroad in major universities, like millions of dollars, through collaboration. If you sit alone as an island, that will help. And when we collaborate positively and in a very clean way, and people respect with international agencies, with organizations. If you have the capacity to write the proposals, you can write the proposal and you can use their own appropriately. So for us, ICPC is a national body with international representation. You need the internal as well as the external support. You need the resources to function. Investigation is never cheap. Even for journalists, it's expensive. is risky and is time consuming. Some investigation will take the whole life of your assignment in that organization. I watch a lot of investigative programs on TV. Some investigation will last. We need support of international agencies for our reputation, for our name, and for the name of Nigeria. We need the support of our people internally for their support, at least for them to agree that what we are doing is finance. And of course, we need the support of our governments. Without the government support, we cannot succeed. And some of these people will be scared in government. So how do you stay with them? So we need the media. The role of the media is based on 3 or 4 major things. Well, structural, psychological, and of course, constitution. Structurally, we believe that it is the media that is positioned to be able to provide us with credible public information that anyone will have in society. Psychologically, we have the belief that it is the media that will give you the trust or the trusted information. If you want education, you go to school. If you want protection, you go to the police. And if you want credible public information that will guide your life, you go to the media. So that thing is ingrained in our mind psychologically. So because of that, we give the media our trust. And that's why even when media is involved or journalists are involved, we rise up to defend them because of that trust. And of course, the position is very clear on the role people government and Nigerians. So we have every basis for doing what we are doing. And of course, we talk about the watchdog function. It's one of what we call the surveillance function of the media. Keep the society informed, keep the society alert on any impending danger, and for us, it's a real danger to society. So we need to keep the society from various perspectives on how we can guard against all of this. And of course, information is that obviously. Then agenda setting. There are certain things that are many of us may not think of, but through this particular agenda setting, you bring some issues up and they occupy the attention of the people for them to discuss, for them to brainstorm, and for them to even raise their voices, for them to even raise their efforts and energies in support. There should be no reason why Nigerians cannot, when they wake up, organize a demonstration where supporting ICPC against a particular issue. But I cannot do that except if I have the conviction that ICPC is validly doing what it is doing genuinely and based on its mandate. Who will do that? I'm busy going by one market. We are not blowing up. So someone will control the narratives. Then public every document in Nigeria talks about public accountability. But what is our understanding and implementation of accountability at different levels? Again, the media can help us to all of this. When these funds are effectively performed, corruptions become more difficult. Not that it's impossible, but it becomes difficult to be executed without press. And that will become a discouraging factor. Knowing that if you gain attention with fake results, you may eventually be caught. And the consequences of being caught is what? Dismissal out of this. In the case of public service, it may be jail, it may be prosecution, it may be whatever. So it will be a discouraging factor, but not as a possibility. Then the next one. Now, let's come back to the issue of investigative. You see, the way journalism is going today in this form, things are just changing, completely changing the landscape of media business. If you tell, or if you are are asked, what are the major problems of foreign journalism in Nigeria? There are about 4 or 5. Funding, technology, content, credibility, and safety. All these problems can be put under this. Funding is what makes the media become real. Where the funding is lacking, the poverty of knowledge, the poverty of content, the poverty of clearly reflected where media organizations. Technology is the enabler. If you don't have the technology, you cannot perform, you cannot connect with the public. If you don't have the content, you don't have the window for relating with the public. So, credibility is what gives you credibility. If you broadcast and nobody believes what you say, just leave it. And credibility is built on truthfulness, competence. Anybody can talk, but it's not the talk that matters. It's the quality of the content, and that's the function of purpose. And not just content by purpose. What is the information to me? What is the relevance of ICPC activities to my life as a Nigerian? Have you been able to establish that advantage to me? As a typical Nigerian on the street, you say, ICPC will come around and say, what relevance is it to me? In one village in Yola, I'm somewhere in one local village, and then there's ICPC has arrested former commissioner for the community. Is that it? Is there something like that? So have you been able to establish that relevance? If there's relevance, I'll really be there for you. Don't you see the religious people not a man? They will really be there for them, they don't. Because of that, and the belief is relevant to them. So establish that relevance for people to see. Then they will really support and even die for you. Then investigative journalism, like I've said at the beginning, is risky, is dangerous, is time-consuming, and is expensive. No clue about it. You people who in ICPC know better than they do how we see. There are some of them. Some openly, some secretly. And you know the risk involved. The same thing with journalists. I think you are covered by law. The journalist is on his own. If you go for any investigative journalism, it's on his own, and you have a cover, you have a law, you have resources. Journalists will not have. You may only have his time, and maybe 1 or 2 of his colleagues. So he's at risk. And if he dies, only 2 years of others, not even the insurance. And you have seen how the journalist, yeah? 1 minute come, not even 2 minutes. So, by all the same, you must have some courageous elements in every system. Some people must be willing to sacrifice for every system, because institutions and nations are built from the sweat and soul and blood of those who are willing to sacrifice for it, particularly in the US. So, you can see examples. The Panama Leaks are rest of the papers. Huge document. The Bagora paper can see some of them. Huge documents. That we need machines to help you sometimes the AI to help you summarize some of them. And our journalists in Nigeria, I don't know the extent to their developed interest in some of these documents. But they may not, because if they don't see the relevance. You have to understand what the relevance is. And they must also see the papers in a very simple and ready to use manner. Again, with the competence. Your competence to search, bring out the information, to investigate it, and know how to use it, to make it relevant to your listener or to your reader. Then, in the Nigerian media, we can give so many examples. I did my PhD in the early 90s on press and military role in Nigeria. focusing on the Gabonese in 1993. And I came across a lot of exciting information. And I had a privilege of interviewing him for pages. And I got better informed on governance system in Nigeria. Things that I didn't know in the past, even about the. But by the time you listen and you compare and contrast, you get better information. And we are going to divide Nigeria. It's far more complex as a nation. And the people who are complex. So you need management. Investigating procurement practices, the honest one in our institutions. Issue of procurement. Starting from zero level to highest level. If you say you are going to investigate, there are issues. So, but our media, we even know about this. And do we risk going in there? Investigate. Reporting abuse of office. Some we see them often. I have been the chairman of the World Center for Investigation Journalism for a while. Where we used to, every year we will be judging submissions for journalists. When we get notices, a lot of the time, some of our journalists depend on reports from ICPC, from AFCC, and like that, and they submit as their own findings, and we usually reject them. So, when we talk of investigative journalism, you are one that will initiate, conceive, execute, and come up with your own result. This is why you now set the agenda. ICPC should look at your report and follow up. National Assembly should look and follow up. Not you taking their report and saying that we investigate. You don't investigate. Somebody did investigate. You are only doing what? Reporting. So you cannot claim the trace. On a lot of investigations with less risk than life. And we may not be found several other places. All this banditry we are talking about, a lot of these insurgencies and investigations with some of these acts. Then amplifying citizens' voices. Our people have a lot of information to give. But how do they give information? How can they synthesize information? And above all, what is their safety after giving information? Otherwise, we say a lot of this. So, investigative journalists are trying to address some of this. That's what it is. Now we are talking about the media of yesterday is different from the media of today. That is the reality. It's a challenge. You cannot have the kind of problem you have in the universities against the media. Because because of this digital communication to do a lot of things. In our place, the media, the universities, we have some very conservatively minded colleagues who are still allergic to the impact of digital applications. And because of that, you can still see them reporting like we reported in the 80s. We said we described the limited investigation capacity. Every blessed day, even if a new reporter comes to the news from the university, is said to full of ideas. If you write, you have to own editor that has been doing this job for the past 20 years. The paper, I gave you and intimidate and harass that. You change the entire language. And this is why we have many of us in online media. That we do not trust. And when you have a digital manager in analog equipment, that is relevant. But most relevant is when you have digital equipment with analog managers. That one is disaster. And we have plenty of that in our media organizations, particularly the sectors. We have government investing hugely buying all this equipment from England, from America, and install them. The people are not there. You know, they hardly train one or two, maybe they just train one or two of their engineers Monday to Thursday. But the remaining, so they bring the equipment to their level. And before you know it, the equipment will damage. And so we move on to send out the services. And we gradually get the excited. The digital revolution has performed tremendous of our case, no doubt about it. All of us know how it has. However, one, real-time information sharing, things that happen in now, you can see that many of our media organizations are yet to be able citizen journalism. Many of us complain about protecting the reality. In Bio University, we foresaw that almost 10 years ago, and we introduced a degree program in information and media science. So it's kind of all this social media. And our students are graduating. In that, and many of them are studying all this online media platforms, blah, 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 and some of them are working in digital organizations. Because that is where the future of the media is. All the analog equipment are concerned with the view of this. And you cannot just have analog equipment, like I said, without having competence in digital management. So, citizen journalism, many of us will have this. You have no information, data of what and then this thing is start and then you send. A student once asked me, research, how do I do study journalism? How do I do all this online systems, the wrong way to study journalism? I'm from many of those who are succeeding as influencers or journalism. And they're making big money. It's like you have people who have equipment but they don't have knowledge. And those who have knowledge do not have the equipment. So the more you have to come confused, you really want to run. Then this is the other beauty of this question. Let's write the beauty lives. We can spend another 1 hour talking on that or below. So if you want to do the need to provide that, with data, you earn respect and integrity in the eyes of your listener or your viewer. Because they're not like statistics. You get that you're not like. But it's not easy to get the data. That is never easy. Even if you are going to mind and you must know how to do it, or you have to follow. And you know, in Nigeria, we are very poor in this field, in giving our evidence in doing this in Kenya. Then, of course, global collaboration among them, the Panama Papers, the WikiLeaks, and all of that. They all came because of what? Collaboration. So, as a journalist, you cannot operate alone. Let's go to the next one. And well, let's talk about the advantages, but we also know that there are what? Disadvantages. This information, when we talk about fake news, which is what is common to all of us, and many of us have become victims of fake news. And fake news can be categorized into what? Disinformation, misinformation, malinformation. Rumors, different. They come in different forms and sizes. The important thing is the intention. What is the intention of the sender of the message? Is the intention to misinform you, to disinform you, or to malinform you? And each one has its own description. And we see plenty of it today. Those like ICPC will become victims in many ways. How people misinform others about what is even in the conventional media. And we also need to differentiate between fake news and false news. False news could be a mistake from an organization. Maybe you are radio station saying the so-so person has died. It may be false. But you do not manufacture it as fact. But there was a mistake based on our incompetence in investigation. So we should differentiate that. Then, of course, political propaganda and populism. The whole world is battling the issue of populism from America to Nigeria. Populism from the highest level to the lowest level. Populism is about sentiment building as against objective and progress in. Those things are typing in Somebody just raise issues that can be easily addressed or relate to your sentiments and then follow it. Now with all these gadgets, it becomes easy to disseminate the information and you just fall for it. So online harassment of investigative journalism, another very important thing that many of our colleagues have suffered. Then of course, assault of the safety of journalism. When we talk of safety of journalism, there are 7 or 8 categories: emotional safety, physical safety, economic safety, social safety, gender safety, digital safety, and public safety. And you can see that many of our journalists in Nigeria, apart from emotional safety, you are on your own, something happens to you, you don't have this where you can move for psychological testing or psychological this on your own. If you have a good family, they help you to manage it. Physical safety, where you're brutally beaten sometimes, and nothing happens. Then the most important is economic safety. When you see some of our manifestation of personification of poverty, and you start a situation asking the journalists to go and do an investigation, use such a money that is compromised. I said it is strong and that's a very solid fact. This is a journalist that has never seen 1 million in his account. And you are asking him to go and investigate a case of 100 million. And he was. And the Americans don't take it. Don't take they give you a brand new, they do some little money in your account, and then they forget about this matter. Then you start asking yourself, all your life you have been working. Something has come your way. So when we use this rare opportunity, so maybe if they just go back to the newsroom and confuse them on why the story is not important for you, I think they refuse to be fine. And that was such a good business. So you see, it's a very dense, you must have serious courage and maybe even spiritual guard for you to live about some of these things. So these challenges strengthen the credibility and effectiveness of journalists and the media. The poverty of the media as an institution itself, and even the proprietorial interests who are the owners of the media themselves. When you have someone who owns media organization and is in government as is involved, then which media can investigate him? There's no way. And when you also have unions that collect money from government, what do you do? There's nothing you can do. So at the end of the day, all of us have become part of the system. That's why we think about systems and structures. It's not the fault of anybody. Yes? What's the fault? It is not a hopeless case. Nigeria is too important for us to just ignore it. 200 million people. All the resources in this country, that we are best, I know it's thing that we need to. But the more people sleep, the more the money comes. So it's a blessing from God. But we cannot continue to take God's blessing for granted. We have to also organize ourselves and be like other countries that we admire, that we joke and do a lot of this. So, of course, strengthening the role of journalists and professional journalists. I will always talk about this part because I'm in the university system. Training gives you courage and confidence, and it makes you do your work much, much better. So, our universities have changed the national curriculum on media and computer training. I was in charge of that particular process, and we have included in our training investigative and learning across all the trainings in journalism schools in Nigeria. Every university today must teach investigative and learning. But, and this is where I'm happy to come here and the focus of academics here. We need to collaborate. Because what we are bringing as our curriculum did not so much capture what people are doing. So if we can get a way of bringing together some of our lecturers or whatever together with our people, then what are some of the specific areas of interest that we need to infuse in our training or our programs, so that our students, as they graduate, they already know, like this document, is definitely or must definitely be part of it. But I'm sure many of our colleagues don't. So I hope I can discuss with the programs, and then from there we can move on. Those who are on the field, those who are about to go to the field, and those who are trained those who should go to the field. Then, of course, institutional support. The truth is, many of media organizations need a lot of support, not just financial support, but even the equipment and the competence for them to do, like using all these gadgets, using all these applications for them to press and get information. They don't know how to do it. When many of these people are talking about their people from the all this. So they need a real act training. And many of our media organizations don't invest along that line. Then, of course, legal profession. Very, very important. In your organization, you people have legal profession. For our journalists, I cannot be certain of that. You go and investigate, you see the people harass legal. The lawyer will write to an editor or the community director, you are very social story, you are going to go to the track, you are going to do this, and then you need to be careful about it. So legal, you need to be careful about it. So legal profession. Or the one slam one defamation case against you, they need 1 billion for you. Why will you get the money? The entire budget of the organization and the assets, not up to 1 billion. So this is very important for us, and our journalists need that. If, for example, you know that they can get a lawyer from ICPC, even if it's indirectly, to support a particular investigative case, and they will not be quiet. They will do it in the name of. They know that somebody somewhere will give them a lawyer, but now only this civil society organization give them support. When they enter in problem, only the civil society organization. Then, of course, ethical standards. Ethical standards must start not only from the government, but also from the top. When you see what the boss gets you, the always gets you to act to appear and the government is going bigger. And there's a problem. There's what we call cognitive dissonance and cognitive problems. What it tells you is different from what it does. And what you see contradicts what it hears. Then naturally what happens? You follow the hand. When somebody is desperately poor, they will call on to help you survive. And we are all aware of the level of desperation that many of us are in this country. So for you to say no, you must have huge ethical orientation and goal guidance. So, but importantly, partnership and collaborations. Media organizations, you have to partner in both two areas. You have to partner with civil society, you have to partner with credible organizations. One, to get information. Even to get information. Like I said, you don't have the capacity to engage in some of these investigations. If they let you go to Togo, go to this, go to that, you don't have the capacity. But if you partner with organizations in Togo, with this, with that, they can give you information. Or even in Nigeria, someone is in Togo, another country. You can partner. This is the essence of having an identity. It's not just for welfare. But if for profession, you have an investigation in Taraba, you need a follow-up. Why do you need to go to it? Call someone for Google because if you get the information from you, then at the end of the day, you share the credit. You don't have to take the credit at all. So, partnership is important. ICPC has plenty of information, but you must know how to get the information. You must have contacts, and contacts that trust you. The moment you get the information, why didn't ICPC say that? So, having this bad business. You cannot. You remember Indian Thompson and look at when you prison. Because of what? They didn't the barometer of behind God in 1984. Not that what they said was false, it was correct. But so people had reported ambassadors. This one was to go to UK, one for Adamawa, Ananya, another person to go somewhere. They got the information from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They published, and they were arrested. And the day information that the Justice Minister was asked, yes, sir, government did the same as they said, but what they predicted for us, they said, yes, but government was embarrassed. So they have to tell us who told them. And you know this kind of information that only come either from the minister or the council or some other people. So they refused to say they want to do it. And budget was at that time 550,000 naira. They want to do it the government that they were. Otherwise, but government was embarrassed. So you have to be very careful. When they give you information, you have to be very you cannot under most circumstances. But if they go again, they will say not to them. I don't know how you're going to manage. So, but professionally, you are not supposed to. So please emphasize collaboration, emphasize partnership, value partnership, value collaboration. You get a lot of information, you will get protection when you are in trouble. There will be people who may not even talk. ICPC may not talk, but they will look for a way of what? Saving your neck, because they know what? You have some level of partnership. We're not saying that you become an informant, but partnership is different from being an informant. Respectable relationship. It's finished off. Okay, what journalists can do, look at all of this, election financing, just follow up this. Look at them. Public procurement accounts for a lot of the crises that we have. Budget monitoring, you have to be an expert to understand how to monitor this. And there are applications for monitoring budgets. Then asset declaration. I'm going to speak a lot of that. How officials declare the assets and all of that. So as a journalist, we give you what to do and law backing it. Then election financing, another very dangerous, risky, and fluid area. And what is our law saying? Always make sure you know what the law says. Don't go and start writing anyhow. Understand what the law says. Understand the electoral law. And of course, follow the money investigation. This one is another difficulty, like we talked about. Follow other forms of corruption. Environmental corruption is a very dangerous one. Read the literature from Latin America. And it's coming, in fact, it's with us. If you are from Taramba or from some of this, you see, they are bringing out rules. And other things. I mean, it's unacceptable. But we are not talking about them. Of course, what are the challenges? Look at them. We have talked about them. Economic pressures to the just learning myself. So finally, go on. For assessment. So now we are after the assessment. What we do on the NACs? Data driven journalists. Journalists need to do a lot of that. Don't just trust that head alone. With AI, with all these applications, you can do a lot and gather page of information. Please, journalists, use data driven applications. Don't just talk with your mouth and make accusations that you cannot defend. Make sure you have data. Don't ever go to the field. Make accusations, send a way of any management. Next, collaboration and international agencies. You need to collaborate to get information. It will just be a big for you and you are also. We are not saying you become an informant or you become a used element in their hands. You can also, like I said, partner. Ethical journalism is better. There's simply education. Very, very important for the grand army. What we really know, ignorance will spook into certain things. But when you are empowered with knowledge, there are certain actions you can take if they are prevented. Then, of course, protecting journalists. Any days of presidents, I know you are doing very well, but you have also to do more in protecting our journalists. The union is number one mountain. And then, of course, the other relate our goals. Finally, if you have to succeed, you have to investigate fairness. That's for journalists. But don't be primitively courageous. Prepare your backup. Do your homework before you go to the field. Don't just you want to make it, then you go. And then by the time you are out, you are already back. Report responsibly. This is what we call it. There's responsive and responsible reporting. Ask yourself, if I don't say it back, if I say it back, consequentially, remember you are a very fast. You are logical, situational, all of this. So, always ask what will be the consequence. If you are going to put an area of fire, and only for you to remain. That's the essence. Education. Your reports should indicate, sir, you have some journalists who are deeply complicating what is simple. And we have some journalists who are very simplify what is complex. So don't be a journalist who complicates what is simple. Your duty is to educate, and you cannot educate using very difficult words or going around and making things confused and abstract. Simplify things for people to understand. A good teacher, at the end of the day, your duty is to educate. Finally, you must know how to solve our problem. If you don't know how to do that, you become a victim in the hands of power. So all of us here, especially those who work in government-owned media organizations, know what I'm talking about. Let us be wise and let us always understand that in every newspaper there are three categories of journalists. There's those we call as lead journalists, not minding because that's what we do. Then you have the democratic minded journalists, who is always so conscious. In the house. It is simple thing like water has not gone to. So they are always conscious about anything. Then you have journalists whom we call the frontier journalists. He will use language, he will use pictures, and he will pass your imagination. Now, you know what he's trying to say, how to say it. In other words, in journalism, there is what we say, so, sometimes you don't say things, but you can ask the imagination of individuals to say it. That's why I see. You know that I'm not saying anything because you have this thing, but this is why I tell you. Now you can use your imagination and you can understand where I'm going. These journalists, especially in these days of tough times, they will be like, this must go to language use, and you must have your facts, you must have ideas and style to report. Mr. Chairman, sir, always know corruption survives in darkness, but journalism brings light for people to see, to understand, and to get together. So this one, let me thank the chairman and all of you.
This is the time for the Secretary General of the NUK. Is he here?